Great. First and foremost, I'd like to welcome you, Venerable Dr. Mahinda Thero.
Thank you.
I think we're going to speak about today a little bit of the theory of everything and the nature of nature. But first and foremost, would you give us a short introduction of who you are and what brings you here today?
Thank you very much for inviting for this podcast.
Thank you for coming.
Yes. As you said, my name is Venerable Mahinda Thero, and I came from Buddhist background. I grew up in Buddhist background, but then I wanted to become a scientist. So what I did, I studied biochemistry and biophysics in my undergrads, and then I did my PhDs in biochemistry and biophysics. And I loved to study. I loved most of the time to study, proteins, biochemistry, and mixing things, especially. So, because there's a saying, always it's good to mix things up, isn't it? So I love that. My PhD, I did it in Australia, Australian National University in Canberra. And then my supervisor wanted me to do a postdoctoral fellowship as well. So I said, okay, yes, I love to stay in the academic field. So I did a postdoctoral fellowship in Australian National University in the same group. And then during that time, I found one YouTube talk randomly from YouTube from a monk, which is a 3.5 hour long talk. And that triggered me something, okay, I should look into what is this Buddhism means, what Buddha explained to this world. Because he explained that it's like something science, something that you can understand, you can study. Then I thought, okay, let's study this. Because this, that everybody believes that Buddhism is a religion. Of course, I'm not saying that it's not there. But from my point of view, I found that it's more like a philosophy, and it's a science that you can study. You can study about yourself, study about how do you feel things, how your thoughts arise. And then later I found that actually it explained everything in this world. Everything. That's why I named this conversation as, the theory of everything.
Yeah.
Yes, the theory of everything, including these things and everything. Not only your mind. So that's why I found more interesting. I quit my job in 2022, somewhere around April. And then I went back to the monastery that I stayed now, where that teacher, that monk, I found him on YouTube. And yes, and then I went there and I got into robe. I ordained as a monk, and I got high ordination as well in there. And then here I'm in front of you now.
Great. So you mixed it up and
exactly.
Yeah, okay. Is it your curiosity to find meaning? So you obviously went through PhD, doctorate, biochemistry, highly technical, very specific subjects. Was it that curiosity when you discovered that YouTube video? What really resonated in you regarding that video? Was that curiosity to find meaning, to understand how we could think and how the mind functions and works, that kind of drew you to this path you're currently on?
Yes. Because, as a scientist, we always think outside the box. So that's the science. Science means that you have to think outside the box. If you want to become a successful scientist in that field, you have to think always outside the box. I can still remember in my PhD application, my recommendation that my previous supervisor wrote. He said that I was thinking outside the box. He recommended my undergrad supervisor recommended me to my PhD supervisor in that way. So when I heard this, when I listened to this talk, then I found that this is something very interesting. Since we were small, we have been using our mind to experience what's going on in the outside. Because everybody use their minds to experience what's going on in the outside. But nobody study about the mind. How do you feel things? How do you see things? And this is something that you have to learn first before you study the outside.
Cause and the effect.
Cause and the effect, yes. So then I realized, oh my God, this is something that I should invest my time, not only to do my research. And then I found some time with my wife as well. She's also, those days I was married, and we spent some time, we spared some time during our postdoctoral fellowship and stuff. And we did some study about what is this? How do you feel this under the guidance of that teacher? And you know that it says curiosity kills the cat. So curiosity kills my job, previous job.
You have a new job now. Yeah.
I got a new job because this is the job that's something, I think that this is just something that everybody should first do in their life.
Yes.
Right? Before you get into the outside world. That inspired me to become a monk. And to be honest with you, like after I become a monk, it makes more, comfortable and very practical to practice this. And it's like now I am on a highway. Those days I was on a gravel road, right?
Yeah.
Like as a layperson, but when I become a monk, now it's like a highway. You can go 120 per kilometer per hour to study about the mind and to free yourself from all the stress, anxiety, depression, and addiction. So that is the key point. That's what inspired me. And the other thing is, and I found very interesting that everybody is trying to calm down the mind. Everybody in the world is trying to find the way to bring down the stress. I can specifically say managing the stress. That's why people are doing meditation and all sort of these things, because they wanted to come out of that, whatever the negative emotions as soon as possible. Right?
Yes.
But here I found that you can completely eliminate, get rid of stress. Even though you work hard, even though I personally felt that throughout this time, when I practiced this, my capacity, my productivity increased a lot. Because of now, I don't feel that that much what I felt before. I had a lot of addictions, a lot of stress and anxiety. You know, when we were doing PhD,
of course,
usually when you're doing a PhD, you don't know when to finish it. But you know that your funding will be going to end in 3 years.
Yeah.
Right? It's always, you have to, it's a very risky job.
Linear
as a
with a defined time frame.
Yes, because you don't have permanent job. Because if you're well performed, then you have the money, grants, and you can build up your career. So it's not that because I quit now, I don't feel that, but I know that I'm doing much more work than that I did during my PhDs, but I don't feel that much, that kind of stress, anxiety, depression. I feel very relaxed. That's something that, because of not converting myself to somebody else, but actually understanding myself, realizing what's going on within me, actually triggered me, actually helped me to come out of that suffering. That's the key message. That inspired me.
It's amazing. And you mentioned the PhD, the outcome, you have to publish your doctoral thesis, you have to finish in a defined time frame. Is it kind of letting go of what those key expectations are of, always wanting the outcome? We were speaking offline of the best cup of coffee and really trying to control what our desires are and what we want as an outcome. Is it much that process of controlling how we think and we see and we view the world that alleviates us from that suffering?
No.
Okay.
This is not something controlled. This is not something controlling your mind, but understanding the mind. You know that there's a movie called Lucy in 2014. Lucy, have you seen that? Yeah, watched.
Scarlett Johansson.
Yes, Lucy. She say knowledge is not the problem. Ignorance is the problem. Right? So what we are doing is we are trying to kill the ignorance about ourselves. Like we have ignorance about ourselves. So when we get rid of the ignorance, when we know what's going on within us, then you don't have to control it. Right? You will come out of that that maze, that trap you were trapped in, and then you will be able to think freely. And actually, it increases your creativity as well, because now you don't have boundaries. Our boundaries are made by our, our thinking patterns. These thinking patterns, these thought patterns happens to us because of our association. The people who associate, remember, like when you first came to this world, you met your first two teachers, mother and father. Then you learn how to think, how to behave in this world. These are the things that shaped your perception, right? So this is like re-engineering your perception. And I have to say that this is not 2-minute noodles solution. It takes time. So whatever that I'm going to explain today, it's something that we practice and we inherently, and something that I can say that I feel from my bottom of my heart. That's the explanation I'm going to explain to you. I mean, throughout our conversation.
It's amazing. You mentioned addiction, mental health, anxiety. How do you feel that Buddhism can address these challenges? You mentioned getting rid of the ignorance and moving towards awareness. How do you find, or what have you seen the correlation between this finding of new awareness and the reduction of anxiety, becoming more creative, like you said?
Our actions, whatever that the actions that we do, working, walking, learning, thinking, whatever the things that you're doing, these are not meant to associate with stress, anxiety, depression. Even though you work hard, even though your job, your boss is piling up with your lot of work, like to-do list, right? These things doesn't bring you suffering, because there are people who found that suffering is not because of them. There are people in this world like us, right? We don't feel suffering, we don't feel stress and anxiety, depression because of the workload. Workload cannot bring you suffering. Eating this apple cannot bring you suffering. Suffering or stress, anxiety, depression. I can collectively say suffering, stress, anxiety, depression, whatever the addictions, everything. The suffering that you feel, the mental pain that you feel, actually comes within your mind because of the ignorance about the mind itself. Ignorance in the mind itself brings the suffering. That's why if you get rid of the ignorance, now that suffering, the process that makes suffering will be ceased. But the action will be there. You can do any action, anything, to your maximum capacity. That means these bodies can, our body, this have some capacity to do something, right? You can work the maximum, you work up to maximum capacity of your body if you don't feel suffering, mental pain. I mean, I can explain this. When you're doing exercise, right? When I stopping that exercise, are you stopping because of the bodily pain, or you feel the mental pain?
100% mental. 95%
I'm
time.
I'm tired.
Yeah, mental.
Yeah. Right? But when you contemplate, when you understand this, the mental pain won't be there. Then you will quit whatever the action that you perform because of the bodily pain. Because bodily pain you can't get rid of, but mental pain you can eradicate. Bodily pain you can't get rid of because you have the body, you can't come out of the body. But the mental pain is something that you can get rid of easily by getting rid of the ignorance. Okay, now I wanted to ask you something.
Sure.
How to get rid of ignorance?
Awareness?
Awareness, yes.
Yeah.
Awareness of the awareness.
I think, therefore, I am. Yeah.
Do you aware that I am here?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That awareness, how that awareness happens, when you know about that, you lose the gravity of that things that you associate. Because of that, Alex, You can come out of the suffering that you will feel. You feel when you, let's say, when you're meeting somebody who annoys you, right? Before, when you understand this, you don't feel meeting with that person and meeting with me or meeting with your colleague, your most friendly one, right? You don't feel a difference between these three cases. Then you can face that situation neutral in your mentality. Because that mentality, if you can build up this mentality, you can help that person even though he annoys you. In his case, he doesn't like you, but you can treat him like a best friend. Because now you don't have expectation. You don't have expectation to fulfill yourself. Because you're already full. You're already filled. You're already happy. All the people in this world, they are trying to be happy. Even Elon Musk, all these people who are at their pinnacle of their career, they are not happy always. They have ups and downs. That's why once I've heard that Mark Zuckerberg also went into India and he met some gurujis in the Indian sages,
Okay.
right? He studied with them. I mean, to find answers for his mental problems, mental stress. So that's why that everybody in this world is trying to be happy. They are seeking happiness. But when you realize who you are, then you are surfacing up the inner happiness that you had. Then you don't have to have this apple to make you happy.
Don't have to
You
look
are
external.
happy.
Is it the internal? Is it the responsibility of the self to control how we feel or to be aware of how we feel rather than looking outward?
Yes. You don't have to control how you feel. You have to aware how you feel. When you aware about awareness, when you're conscious about consciousness, when you know about yourself, then you can go any corner of the world and you can perform at maximum that you can, because you don't have fear. You don't have something to protect yourself. You can shake hand with anyone with a kind heart, 100%. You won't have any expectation from him. The relationships. I like to, even though, can I get the whiteboard?
Sure, yeah.
Usually, can you see it? Yes. So this is one point and this is the other point. In the world, usually relationship means, it seems like this, right? I can say like this. You are looking after that person, he is looking after this person. But actually, no. You are thinking about yourself. That person is thinking about
Themselves, yeah.
herself. I scratch your back, you scratch my back. Until I scratch your back according to the way you want, I say I love you. So this is what we call selfish. Actually, because of this idea of self, that people feel that I am this person and this is that person. I want what I want from that person. This is where that it generates the problems. But if you can 100% look into the other person, if you can give whatever that you have towards the society, you are the spreader, you are not holder.
Creating abundance and kindness and
Yes. Selflessly selfless. This is the normal individual being. Thinking about hoarding. Always, I want things that I love, I like. Right? This is the ignorant mindset. ignorant mindset. And this is non-ignorant mindset. That means this person is aware about him. Then I can explain like this simply. This person feels that that person and this apple, there's no difference. Because you become the nature. You are not separated from the nature. You are not a person who's separated from the nature. You become the nature.
And how does one cultivate this mindset? Like, obviously we have means in which we can perceive an idea and understand an idea. How do we actually cultivate it and put it into practice? So
this, right?
yes.
See, ignorant, non-ignorant.
Yes.
So being ignorant to non-ignorant is that you need to understand, you need to learn, you need to find out what's going on. That's the trick.
Okay.
That's why I told you that we will study theory of everything, isn't it?
Not easy.
Not easy.
Yeah.
But you know that the thing is, when you are talking with me, I want you to practice as well. Because then you can ask good questions. Like when you think, don't think for the listeners also, the people who are watching this, you have to apply to yourself, not to the outside. Because these concepts, these concepts for the mind, not for this bench, right? Not for this tool or not for these the physical things. These are the concepts that we have to understand from ourselves. So you have to apply to your life experiences, then you will find out, okay, what I'm telling is right.
So it's individualized per person.
Exactly. And I'm really thankful to you for giving us this opportunity. I'm not only the one person here. Behind me, there are more than 1,000 people who practice this and who come out of this jail, or I can say the prison for your mind, as in Matrix. Have you watched Matrix movie?
Matrix, of course.
Yes,
yeah.
that was our kinder. When we were small, it was a very famous movie. So this is the way to come out of that matrix. You have to understand the matrix.
It's amazing. Do you feel there's one key theory to understand and overcome that suffering or that gulf between awareness and ignorance? Is there one idea we can practice on a daily basis that allows us to slowly start understanding those concepts?
Yes, you got it. This is the key concept. There's a key theory in this world that you have to understand. And I'll explain that theory, and I'll explain to you how to apply that theory to your daily practices, daily basis. And how you can actually, I can prove you that when you understand this, you won't have any suffering. You won't have any preferences. For example, let's say when you go to a restaurant, you don't. That in their menu, there's no the dish that you preferred, right? And you went there because of your friend, right? Still, you can enjoy that dish, whatever that dish that available. This is the way to enjoy the world. What we are doing is we are suffering. We are creating suffering within ourselves. And then we complain, okay, because of this person, I am suffering.
Yes.
Because of the exam, I am suffering. Because of the workload, that I am suffering. Because of this project, that you are doing in studio things, right?
Yes,
Event that I am suffering. No. This is wrong.
So the analogy a friend gave me once was like, oh, you really want a good cup of coffee. So you go to the cafe and you're waiting for the good cup of coffee. The coffee comes and receives and it's not the way you like it. Exactly. Therefore, it was just my expectation of how the coffee should be given to me that caused me to be upset, right? If I didn't care, then I wouldn't be upset.
But the thing is, you point, why are you upset? You're upset because of this coffee.
Exactly, external,
No. You are the creator of your suffering.
My fault, okay, got it. Got
it. That's why I can prove you, when you understand this, you won't have any expectation. You can tolerate the world. You don't have to. You can't tolerate. You accept everything because you're okay. You're a free man.
Yes.
You know that in Frozen, let it go, let it go.
It's all the pop culture references.
Yes. The fears that block me now, there's no anymore. So okay, this is the way to come out of that. Not the Frozen, but understanding this theory. The theory of everything. Yes.
And is it just through practice? So it's okay. The first day I might succeed. The second day I may not succeed. Is it just continuing through that practice of trying to alleviate expectations, alleviate the want or the desire that like frees you up from that outcome that you can't control?
Yes. You know that there's a Sanskrit sloka. If I explain it in a Sanskrit word, Durlabam traya me vaitat deva nugraha hetukam manushyattam mumukshattam mahapurusha samshaya. What it says, there are three things that you have given by the gift of the goat, right? By the goat. These are the gift that you will receive from the goat. These are manushyattam, as a human being. We born as a human being, of course you all have. And the second thing is the desire to free yourself, to liberate yourself from the suffering, to desire to understand and liberate yourself from whatever the stress, anxiety, depression. That is something you have to have because of the God. Because that's a gift that if you have that ability, that desire. And the third thing is surrender to a master. Surrender to a master who knows this, who has this wisdom. Because wisdom is something that you have to receive from somebody. It's not something that you can learn from the books. Wisdom is something you will receive because you feel from the bottom of your heart, because you studied it, not because of the books, but because of that who practice. When you listen to it in front of a teacher, in front of a person who practiced this, then you will receive the wisdom. Wisdom is only coming through that channel, not from the book. Knowledge is coming from the book. Knowledge and wisdom is two different things. That's why what Buddha found back in 2500 years, they were in the books, but when you read the books, you won't be able to find it out. But when you are discussing like this, when you are listening to a teacher, when you are associating a teacher, when you're studying a teacher, actually, in that way, you can understand. You can get the wisdom to your mind. So that's why that you need to have that desire to free yourself. That's why to answer that question, you need to work constantly for this. This is not something instant solution. It takes time, but you have to be you have to constantly doing it without breaking. That's an ability that you have to build up. When you practice, you will get it.
Which is very contrary to most of the self-help or ideas within society today, right? It's like a 2-minute fix. How can I change my life in 8 minutes? Like, it's very, very different than the actual, the continual process and committing. Secondarily, the idea of conversation and dialogue and questioning, and it's also very different than modern religions, right? It's like, here's your doctrine, please execute on your doctrine, rather than constantly questioning, having a conversation, and the direct relationship between you speaking, me listening. It's way more inquisitory, or to question, to search for meaning.
Alex, when people come to the Buddha, the people came to the Buddha, they were questioning always. There were no sermons at all those days.
Okay.
There were a lot of questions. You can see all these scripts in the books. When you go through, there are people who are asking, what is this? Why this is happening? Now explain. If you're the Buddha, explain to me. So some people actually, they are arrogant. They were aggressive as well in front of the Buddha. And Buddha explained everything nicely. This is something conversation. This is something you have to study. You have to deep delve into your mind and how you perceive this world and how to come out of it. The suffering, the negative emotions. Yes, it takes time. It's I mean, it's working. That's the thing. I started this 2018. Now I am 2025. Oh my God! Yes, 8 years. I know the journey of that I experience. Everybody can do that. Why don't you do that? Why don't others do that? Yes, that's why I came out of up from the monastery. Now I'm shouting and I'm going here and there. I'm traveling now. Now I'm in Dubai. So next to earlier in South Korea, and the next to is UK and Italy, Israel, and I'm going around the world until 30th of July. So it's because I want to help those people, innocent people. You don't have to suffer. Addiction, yes, we do have the problem. Depression, yes, we have the problem. Anxiety, yes, of course we have the problem. You don't have to depend on the drugs. I mean, these are the physical things. Physical things can't do anything, can't get rid of the mental problem. Mental problem can get rid of by treating to the mental world, not through the physical world, not to the body, mind and the body. Have you seen Johnny English? In the Johnny English second movie, there's the master in front of Johnny. He says, Johnny, mind must be the master of the body. So I'm saying that it's a Buddha's words. Mind is the master of the body. So if you have to treat to the mind, treat to the mind. When you treat to the body, you can control, you can settle down something. Of course, that's why all the psychologists, psychiatrists, they do that something. I mean, everybody is doing some maximum to help this society. But here is the ultimate solution I'm presenting. Not me, actually, from the lineage of teachers.
And cultivating wisdom. How do you make that connection between the mind and body? How do you cultivate it? How do you have more understanding or awareness of the mind so you can have like more control over the body or the desires?
Okay, then shall I explain that theory? Then I think
Sure.
from through that, then I can explain that.
Okay.
This is my magic board. Okay. Can you see this? Yes. I want you to think about energy. What do you think? Don't you think this light? This is electrical energy, light energy. So everything in this world is actually energy. This is like God. Energy. Light. You know, inside this apple, there's energy. Carbohydrates, protein, lipids, whatever the chemicals are energies. In nuclear power plants, what they do, they break the atoms into pieces and they take out the energy within the atoms. That means if you have done physics, there's a nice equation from Einstein, E equals mc squared.
Yeah.
I'm talking about, this is the wave particle, energy is matter, matter is energy, right? Actually, everything in this world, we can classify them as energies. There are different level of aggregation of energies, right? Light is very finest aggregation of energy. Atoms have very densely aggregated energy, right? Here we come, I'm going to divide two main types of energies. One is mental, the other one is physical. This is where you think, how come mental is energy? No. Mental is also type of energy. I can explain this. Can you think? What is here?
Marker?
Marker.
Yeah.
Right? Thinking is something, a process. You have to think. Think means it's a process. If it is a process has to be driven by energy, right? Every process is in this world, it is driving because of energy. Then, ability to do something is called energy. That's the definition of basic physics. Ability to do something is called energy. if ability to do something is called energy, then that means ability to think also
It's energy.
is energy. Okay, then mental energy and physical energy. So we can now divide specifically. There are two types of world: mental world and physical world. Got it?
Mm-hmm.
What are the components in the mental world? What are the components in the physical world?
Thinking.
As you
action.
think, yes, thinking, emotions, thoughts, emotions, you feel, sense.
Mm-hmm.
These are the that you know. These are the things that you know. Understood?
Mm-hmm.
Got it? And how about the physical? From the
Movement.
chemistry,
Yeah.
electrons, protons, neutrons. What else?
Motion.
Motion. And how about, okay, now you can take this. Huh? What do you think? What's inside there? What you can see now? An apple,
Yeah.
right? What are the parameters? What are the characteristics of that apple?
It's green.
It's green.
Yeah.
Okay, then physical world, you have green.
Colors.
That means
Yep.
colors.
Mm-hmm.
When you eat it, what do you feel? Apple taste,
Sweet.
sweet,
Sour.
sour. That means taste in the physical world. And can you smell? When you smell it, you feel apple smell.
Yep.
That means smell is also in the physical world. And you feel, right? The
Touch.
the touch, the solidness. Liquid, solid, gas. These are the three characteristics of the this is
Matter.
the first science class
Yes.
lesson
Okay.
that we learned. Remember
Yes.
the physical three states of the
Matter.
The matter.
Yeah.
Yes. So that means the touch sense. This is what you feel. This is what you know. Do you agree with me?
Yes.
But I'm going to do a magic.
Please do.
I'm going to take these three things, erase from here, and bring it to here. I'm going to take these characteristics of the physical world, move to the mental world.
The sensory, like
That sounds like something weird, isn't it? We all know 100% that everybody now in front of this camera, right? Behind the camera, they know that this is green color. Apple is green color. Apple has a taste. Apple taste is there, in there. I'm saying it's wrong.
As those are senses and they're also in the mind.
Yes. I can explain this.
Please.
I have a torch here. So I'm going to do an illusion. That's nice. Can you see a shadow? There's a shadow, right? Yes. Now tell me this. Is this shadow is the light?
It's absence of light.
It's the absence of
Yeah.
light, isn't it? Is this shadow is the hand? Is this shadow the hand?
No. Form of the hand.
No, it's a form of the hand.
Yeah.
Is this shadow is the surface? The surface?
No.
No. But without these three factors, there won't be a shadow, isn't it? In order to have a shadow, there should be light, there should be an object in front of that, and there should be a surface. It's like going back to kindergarten, huh? How you make a shadow. That means shadow is something completely different to the light, different to the hand, different to the surface. But shadow is not the hand. Shadow is not the light. Shadow is not the surface.
Okay.
But everybody, every component has to come together to manifest, to generate something completely different. Light is not the shadow, hand is not the shadow, surface is not the shadow. These three components come together to generate a completely different effect. Completely different effect that is actually not coming from the light, not coming from the hand. Did you get this point? That means shadow is a shadow. Shadow is not the light, shadow is not the hand, shadow is not the surface. But in order to have shadow, all these three things has to come together, align together, arrange together. If it is arranged, then this is the manifestation. This is something, an illusion. This is something happening. Can you see a shadow now?
Yes.
Yes. Shadow is made, right? If it is made, then I am going to ask this question, the second thing. If it is made, then I would be able to take my hand, leaving the shadow there. If it is something made, if you made means done, finished, finished the project. That is something made, that is something done. If it is something done, then I would be able to take my hand out, leaving the shadow. If shadow is something made, something done, something completed. But no, ladies and gentlemen, no, Alex, this is not something that made. This is being made. This is continuously happening. It's a flow.
It's rendered.
It's rendering.
It's rendering.
Rendering. Each and every moment it's happening. Did you get this concept? It's not something made, it's being made.
Being made. So is it the awareness of that render, of that thing being created, that gives us more awareness, more enlightenment?
Yes.
More wisdom?
Yes. Good thing comes to those who wait.
Okay, yeah. I jumped ahead.
You know what? This shadow is not the light. Shadow is not the hand. Shadow is not the surface. Everything has to be there, but this is something completely different effect. Likewise, I'm giving another example to understand this, and then I'll explain this. Sodium is an element. It's explosive. When you put into water, this element is explosive. And this is, chlorine is a bleach. It has bleaching capacity. And sodium chloride, when these things mix together, this is something you are adding to make your food tastier, saltier. Then how come, where does the saltiness come from? From sodium or chlorine? What do you have here? Sodium and chlorine. Can you see same atom here? Can you see same thing here? Same chlorine is here, same sodium is here. But when these things mix together, it creates something completely different effect. Alex, this is the concept. Causes contribute to create an effect. The effect is completely different to the causes. Effect, saltiness, is not actually something that coming from sodium or coming from chlorine. But if you get rid of sodium out of this equation, then there won't be a saltiness. So that means saltiness is an effect that contributed by these two causes. Causes brings together to generate an effect. This is the ultimate theory, drives this world, Alex. This is the theory of everything. Cause and effect. Not the cause and effect that everybody knows. This is something hidden. This is something completely different. Because you haven't made a product. You haven't made a product. This is keep producing. It's being made. Each of the electrons, protons, neutrons here is contributing each and every moment to generate this saltiness. Now, did you get the point? Whatever that's here is contributing each and every moment.
It's active.
Acting. It's continuous process. You can say this is salting. You know, ing. ing, when you put ing, it's continuous, right? Present continuous tense, you use ing. That means this is continuously being present, the effect. That's why the shadow, you can't get it off. When you take out the hand, shadow is no longer there. So if I ask you what happened to the shadow, you don't have an answer. Huh? Let's do that experiment. Now you saw a shadow. Now what happened to the shadow? Where did it go? Did it hide there? Huh?
Disappeared? Yeah.
Disappear.
Yeah.
Disappear means the process stops. That's why here what you have to understand, it's a process. It's keep creating, it's making. Right. Having the understanding this, now I'm going to come to the mental world. To transfer color, sound, taste, smell, touch to the mental world. Because you think sound is coming from the buffle, speaker. Nah. This is green. Nah. Let me explain. What is the color of the apple now?
More green?
More green.
Yeah.
What is the color of the apple now?
Orange?
Orange. What is the color of the apple now?
Purple?
Purple. I ask you, what is the color of the apple?
Trick question.
What is the true color of the apple? How can you say green? In the presence of white light, it is green. In the presence of blue light, it is purple. In the presence of red light, green light, it's green. In the presence of red light, it's orange. Is it an orange or an apple then? So here you have to understand this. This green color is not something that's there. Now this is, you have to understand, this is something that mind-blowing. I'm turning your world upside down by explaining this. You know this color, this one doesn't possess any color. These electrons, protons, neutrons doesn't have any color. They don't have any color. Which electron is green color if this is green? This is made out of electrons, protons, neutrons. Then electron should be green then. No. Protons should be green. No, none of these are green in color. Electrons, protons, neutrons. Light, whatever the material here, your eyes, your brain, your nerves, come together to generate an effect. That is what you feel right now. That's the green.
Effect.
It's like the shadow. Shadow is not the light. Shadow is not the hand. Likewise, green is not the apple. Green is not the light. Green is not your eyes. But when all these things, three things comes together, that creates the color in your mind. This is where the mind comes. That's why, Alex, I told you, colors are in the mind. Colors, even though we are dealing with cameras can't see colors. Cameras can actually accept, it sends the intensity of light, the wavelength, the frequency of the electromagnetic radiation. I'm a scientist. I can explain this to the bottom of my knowledge. Right? So, you know, the camera sensor. Even though Sony and Canon, these companies say color science. These are not color science. What they are doing is the frequency of what light frequency matches with what emits after they, you know, when you play back, the TV screen doesn't show you colors. The TV screen is emitting light rays, frequencies. These frequencies can trigger colors in the mind. That means what you see as this color is not what I see. You know why? In order to perceive this apple, you need your eyes. The light rays that comes to you and your brain, that creates the mental image of this green color. Okay, then in here, the green color that I feel is something that generates within my mind because of my eye, and the light rays that comes to me. Are these identical?
No.
Oh my God. Then you haven't seen what I've seen. What I've seen. I can show you, I can prove to you with another experiment. You have to do, close this one eye, and shake the eyeball using the other finger by looking at this.
Okay.
You can see the image is shaking.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't shake anything here.
Fair enough.
Okay, then what you see is not outside. What you perceive is what's creating in the mental image. Agree? That means that effect is each and every moment it is generating. It's not something fixed. It's not something made.
Emotion.
That means, Alex, whatever the color here is not what you, the colors are not here in the outside world. When you come out from the mind, let's say you have an ability to come out from your mind and come in between this and you, then this world is very dark. There's no colors out there. Color is an effect because of the causes. When these atoms, whatever the bunch of atoms, this is also energy, light is also energy, your eye is also energy, your brain is also a bunch of energy. These energy come together, that generates the color. Likewise, whatever the sound, shall I make you sound?
Sure.
This sound, right? It's not coming from this touch. This generates vibrations. Vibrations trigger sound in the mind. That's why mic cannot pick sound. Mic can pick the vibrations. Your ear is sensing vibrations. Ear is not sensing sound. Sound is a sense. Sound is in the image that you feel. That's why it's a mental image. That means they are not physical. They are mentally created within your mind each and every moment. Whatever that you perceive right now is not the outside world, that's the mind. You might be having a question, where's the mind? This is your mind. What you experience is the mind, not the outside world. Because outside world is colorless. That's why this is now orange. This is feel like weird now. That means the effect changes because of the frequencies. The green is not the green frequency. It's a different frequency. Do you understand this? There are different level of frequencies. These frequencies triggers different colors in your mind. Now tell me, if I cannot see what you see, how can I recommend you this?
Yeah.
If I cannot taste what you taste, how can you recommend these products? That's why, ladies and gentlemen, that's why, Alex, different people have different preferences. Preferences comes because of they love that specific thing. But the thing is, that specific thing is not the thing that other people like because they think that gives them happiness. The other people think this gives them happiness. No, happiness comes when you understand what's going on here.
In the mind.
In the mind. Then you can't attach to this because what you feel is not in there. Then you can't attach. How can you attach to things? How can you attach to things if you know that what you feel doesn't exist there? You know, attachment brings suffering. When you have a desire, that means you have an attachment. Attachment happens in the mind when mind is ignorant about the mind. I will repeat it again. Attachment happens in the mind when mind doesn't know what mind feels is actually within the mind. It's not the outside. That's why we haven't seen what exists outside. I mean, when you come closer with a camera, electron, proton, neutron camera, let's say the camera can see electron, proton, neutron. This is also not produced. It's being produced. All these cells, everything is actively performing. This is like a bee colony. It's a process. Likewise, your mind is also a process. This is where we come. This is the ignorance. This is the this is the way to come out of this. I'll explain now. I mean, think about you things that you preferred. Let's say cup of coffee, right? Your coffee taste. You think the coffee taste is coming from the coffee, right? When you have that idea, now you're expecting that same taste from the coffee.
Exactly.
Which coffee? Can you get the same coffee again?
No.
No. Can you get the same taste again at least? No. Because each and every moment, the causes that contribute to generate the effect is completely different. Then you can't expect that moment. That's why we say, "Ke sera sera," whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. "Ke sera sera," whatever will be, will be. That means you can't predict next moment. You can't predict next moment because you don't know what causes will come together. That's why even though you live like now, now like this, right? We don't know whether I will have a heart attack in next moment and I will pass away, right? You know, we in our mind we have that ignorant mindset. That is, there are fixed entities are there. Country is a fixed. Dubai is fixed. Your company is fixed. This Apple is fixed. You know, fixed means it's made. But none of these things are made. That's why whenever that things, you know, this you can't say this is decaying. Right? Decaying is the natural process that's there because there's no single moment it's being made. You know the life cycle of a frog. Have you studied in the biology life cycle of a frog? The egg is not an egg. Each and every moment it's continuous process. You know what I mean, right? The whole body is not a fixed body. This moment body, this moment arrangement is not next moment arrangement. It's continuously flow. So when we understand this, you can't attach to a person. Because when we personify, we feel that person is the same person that I meet again. Okay, if you can't meet the same person again, how can you get angry with somebody? When you understand this is not something artificially you are coming out of, you are thinking another way. This is the reality that you haven't seen. This is the reality that you haven't sensed. When you understand this, now you can work maximum to the betterment of the society without thinking about yourself. Because, you know, the self-feeling is actually comes within the mind because of the ignorance, thinking that I am fixed person. No. None of us are fixed characters. We are processes. That's why you are a bunch of atoms because of the things that you had yesterday night in the Berlin. Right? You had something, dinner.
Yes.
Okay, now you are made out of that atoms. Carbohydrate, protein, lipids, something that you had. Actually, you are Alexing, not Alex. This is not an apple. This is appling. It's being produced, being made. When you understand this 100% from the bottom of your heart, you can love everybody because you don't have any preferences.
Never meeting the static point. It's constantly emotion, always changing.
Always
Therefore,
changing.
why
That's
control
fine.
it?
Yes.
Because there is no constant.
Exactly. Then you don't have to control because now you are the controller. You become the controller because you know nothing to control. How can you control next moment? How a shadow can control the hand? Can shadow control the hand? Shadow is an effect. Color is an effect. Sound is an effect. Taste is an effect. Thoughts are effect. How come they control the outside world? I mean, you can control this, right? This is something, a false sense that you feel that you're controlling. No, these are the cascade of reaction happens. Have you done in your kindergarten or childhood, the dominoes?
Sure. Yep.
I have it. So dominoes, this is the whole world is like this. It's a process. There's nothing went. Even though you sense that something went, there's nothing went. It's a process. One leads to the other, leads to the other, leads to the other, leads to the other. When you wake up in the morning, right, a thought come to you, you have to brush your teeth and get ready, right? When you wake up in the morning, that causes to bring that idea to your mind. It's not something that you bring to yourself. When you understand that you are not the controller, then you are the controller. When you understand that you are not the controller, you get the control of your thoughts. Actually, you understand what's going on.
Awareness is freedom.
This empowers us. The cause and effect nature of the world is everywhere. The cloud is not a cloud. It's an aggregation of water vapor. Cloud is an effect that you sense. Light is an effect. Everything is an effect because of the causes. This is the ultimate theory. This is the theory of everything. This is what nature of the nature. This is the nature of nature.
Which is amazing. How does cultivating awareness or meditation or that mindfulness, that awareness of the process, that everything is constantly emotion, so don't try to predict the outcome, don't try to have a tied emotional reaction to what's going to happen. How do you feel meditation is a gateway to that opening up for many people, that way of thinking, or that mindfulness, that awareness of the self and how that process works?
Yes, that's a good question. You know what? When you understand this, then you can meditate. Otherwise, what you're doing is calming down the mind. When you profoundly realize what's going on here, then you can meditate about what you're doing. That is what we call present moment. That's what we call mindfulness. Mindfully aware what is being present in the present moment. That is, when I touch and when I eat, I have to understand that what I feel, what I sense is not coming from here, but it's being produced. It's a manifestation within the mind. Then you don't have to suffer. You know what? even though you have huge workload, that doesn't bring you suffering. Because you are doing each and every work only at once, at that time. Can you hear that clap? When you hear that clap, you are not the Alex. You can't think about that whether you are Alex or not. When you hear that clapping sound, now you are the sound. When you see this apple, you are the apple. Because your emotions, your perception now filled with apple. When you are working something, let's say you have a work, one work, okay? One project. When you are working that project with this mindset, you are the project. There's no difference between you and the project. When you separate out project and yourself, two things, then the disaster comes.
It's the ego behind the why do I have to do this? Yeah.
For example, I mean, this is really good for the companies as well. Imagine that I have an idea. You also have an idea. Let's say I have a good idea. You have something not that good. When you both put into the ideas into the table, then you can actually fight. Ideas can fight each other. But when you become the idea, when you also jump into the table with the idea, then what happens? Then ego and all these negative emotions comes. Then you feel that you annoyed me. No, I criticize the idea. This is the thing. Idea doesn't belong to you. Because there's no you to belong to the idea. You are a bunch of atoms and a mind that created that idea in that moment. If I have the same causes here, the same idea will manifest here. That's why in a meeting you can have couple of ideas. Some people have same idea. Both of them have the same idea. How come then? Who owns the idea then? Let's say you are in a meeting. I have a good idea. At the same time, he is also explaining the same thing. How come you telling that? It's my idea. You can't claim that it's ownership. When you understand that ideas are being manifested in the mind, then you become that table. You are part of the table. You're part of the conversation. You're not a separate person, and conversation is not there. No, you will be more relaxed. And you can do anything after that. I mean, you don't have any boundaries. You don't have any personal attitude, personal agenda. When you're working as a company, you become the company. You become that society. You become the nature. You become nature. You are the nature. This is the science that I study and I follow. This is the meditation that everybody should do. I mean, it takes time to realize this. You have to listen again and again and again, like this podcast and like these conversations we do. You have to realize it. You have to listen and again try to grasp this concept. This will trigger wisdom within your mind. You know that when we were born, we don't know about these things. I mean, who told the kid that this apple is not green color? Everybody says and telling this is green. But the thing is, nobody told me your green is not my green. Sometimes your green is my red. Who knows? But the thing is, we both keep telling this as a green. Then somebody asked one day, the good question asked, how come colorblind people, the colorblind people, how does that work? You know what? Colorblind people, they get the same color for these two. Right? They can't differentiate. This is red, this is green. Right? But the thing is, your red is not my red. Your green is not my green. But when I see this, I say it's green. When I see this, I say it's red, which is matching with you because we have a common ground there to share our idea. That's why you can't share your dreams with me. Can you share me? Can you share your pain? No. Even though you're married, you can't share your pain with another person. Right? But you can share an apple, which is not an apple, which is bunch of electrons, protons, neutrons. This is the way to contemplate. Shall I tell you a secret? When you're listening to this, what you have done is contemplating. This is the meditation. This is what we call mindful awareness meditation. This is not mindfulness, but mindfully aware about the awareness. This is like apple understand about itself. It's an apple. If I explain you in a simpler way, orange, understand it's an orange.
Therefore I am, yeah.
I mean, this is the science that everybody should understand before they eat an apple.
Well, thank you for bringing us to awareness for anyone who's hungry. Lastly, just be observant of your time. Would you just speak about a little bit of the work you're doing, say in Sri Lanka at the monastery, where people can find more information about the work, or different talks you're giving around the world?
Yes, thank you. So, actually, I'm not the teacher here because this is the Mona Lisa, right?
You are.
I am the Mona Lisa. The Da Vinci is in Sri Lanka. Who is the Da Vinci is my teacher, because if Mona Lisa is like this, you can imagine how is the Da Vinci as well, right? So actually, I'm part of the monastery in Sri Lanka in Ingiri, Jetavanarama Vihara, and we have young people. Like our monastery's average is 33 years old. Everybody is around 30s and 40s, like 20s, very young people. And we get together and we meditate, we study this, we contemplate this, and we conduct sessions and everything, like meditation sessions, pilgrimages to Sri Lanka, and all these things we are doing. And because we want, and we are studying 16 different languages.
Wow.
Within the monastery to spread this message, because this is something worth everybody should understand. This is not something that a religion, this is something that a philosophy that you can understand. So we spread, I mean, at the moment I am and my colleague Bakulatero, we are touring around the world, UK, next visit is UK, and we have a couple of sessions there and university sessions, and then we'll fly back to Israel, Switzerland and Italy. So I'll be visiting there, and then we'll move back to New Zealand and Australia. So it will be a 6 months tour.
Wow.
It's a very long tour, because this is something that I'm doing out of compassion. I want to stay in the monastery, right? But because now we have the passport and we have the ability to go around the world, so we are the messengers. We have become the messengers now. So yes, we are doing a couple of talks, university talks and stuff, because in Australia actually, and New Zealand, we are closely working with government organizations and rehabilitation centers. The people who are addicted to drugs and addicted to different addictions, pornography or video, whatever the games and stuff. I mean, there's a way to come out of, because in our monastery we also have a separate rehabilitation center, and now we have a couple of people who completely came out of all these addictions, and this is something working. So that's why we spread this message across the world as much as possible out of compassion, without thinking about ourselves. There's nothing to gain from here. I'm free. I'm a free man. I want you to be free as well.
What a beautiful perspective, and thank you so much for spending time with us today to share a bit of your wisdom, and I really appreciate it and gained a lot from the conversation.
Thank you very much, Alex. It's your merits. It's your things. It's everybody's merits what we have done in the past lives, but we have done because you have to be a good person. We all have to be a good person in order to understand this. If you are doing evil things to the society, you can't understand these great things. because greatness comes because of the goodness. You have to, bad person has to become a good person. Then good person can become the great person. Greatness comes to those who are with goodness. So I think that everybody that I met in your company and everybody is really, really good people, and I love, and I can see that whatever the and thank you very much for inviting me and organizing this event. And it's not for me actually, it's for the humanity. Everybody deserves this. That's what I feel. Thank you very much on behalf of all the humans.
Likewise. Thank you for sharing your perspective on this format, answering questions. It's very, very refreshing to hear ideas and engage in a conversation about enlightenment and how we can better ourselves. So I really, really appreciate it. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.